What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Riverdale Season 4, Episode 13. And it's called Chapter 70, The Ides of March.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines, and then we're going to do your recap roundups, the ones that you guys have sent us.
Ooh, girl.
So be sure to stick around for that.
We also have our contest going on right now for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and pop socket. To enter, all you need to do is rate and comment on our iTunes page and you'll be entered in this draw. We're extending this contest to the end of Riverdale Season 4, and we have to say it's because there aren't a lot of entries, so you could actually win.
Guys,
this is not a joke, y'all.
All you have to do is go onto the iTunes app that you're listening to us from and leave us a review, and that is it. And
that's
you can probably win a $50 Amazon gift card. That's it.
Like, the chances right now are like almost 100%. Yeah. So just do it.
Leave us a good review, a 5-star review, and that's basically your entry into the contest.
Exactly. As always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this episode. What the hell?
So let's get into it. But guys, also please stick around for the ending of the podcast because we're going to really do a deep dive into like what the fuck is going on in Riverdale.
For
and like,
sure.
Is Jughead really dead? So we're really going to get into that and our predictions and our like analysis. So stick around, be patient. That's coming at the end. But for now, what did you think?
So much happened this episode. I'm confused. I'm shocked. I'm worried. I'm so many feelings after watching this episode for sure. How about you?
I really like the episode. I love how the whole ending it was kind of creepy, and you know, the music was really good.
Right.
And we got a lot of VARCHIE moments this episode, which I was like very like happy with because I was like we haven't seen them together like all season.
Right.
It was a good episode. I am just really, really, really hoping and praying, guys, that this whole Jughead storyline does make sense.
Yeah.
And that they wrap it up in a cool way. I'm really, really hoping that happens.
Same. I feel like there might be some plot holes that we might have to poke holes into and just kind of discuss what everybody else thinks. But we'll get to that at the very end, as NB mentioned. We're going to take it right from the top and then go all the way through it. But before we even go through the episode, I do want to call out the name of the episode, which is called...
And I'm glad you're doing this because I needed to research this.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're giving this to our listeners because I think they need to understand what the Ides of March is.
Yeah. So the Ides of March, according to Wikipedia, is March 15th specifically, and the only reason why I knew about it before this episode because my dad's birthday is on the 15th, and he's always like, the Ides of March, I was born on the Ides of March, and he's so depressed all the time. But it's because the Ides of March was a day in the Roman calendar that corresponds to March 15th. It was marked by several religious observances and was notable for the Romans as a deadline for settling debts. In 44 BC, it became notorious as the date of the assassination of Julius Caesar, which made the Ides of March a turning point in Roman history. So that is a lot of information, but what did you take away from it?
You know what? I do appreciate that definition, but I feel like the Riverdale writers, they try to, and they've done this since the beginning, they've always tried to kind of connect a movie title with the episode and like what's happening in the episode. Sometimes I feel like it's very, very random and like they are just pulling a name because they needed a film name to like represent their episode. So I don't know if I'm fully like taking this definition and like applying it to like what's gonna happen to Jughead. Because I'm like, I feel like they just like thought it sounded cool and like they like ran with it a little bit, you know?
See, I would agree with you only if that wasn't literally the impetus of the episode. Like, they talk about the Ides of March within the episode. They say, oh, we're going to be having the party to celebrate the Ides of March. So it was probably one of the first and only episodes that I've actually seen the title of the episode actually connected this directly.
Like literally they throw a party that was like very Julius Caesar like. So maybe that's their only throw to that title. I don't know.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if someone was specifically supposed to be Julius Caesar, but That's an interesting theory that we can bring up because Brett was dressed. He was probably one of the only characters
he was.
Dressed up as Julius Caesar. So he could be the one that everybody's betraying. We'll circle back to that at the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be a situation as well.
Yeah.
All right, so the whole episode starts off with Jughead and his voiceover saying, "The week started like any other. Who would have guessed where I'd be by the end?" And I wanted to call it out just because it was a very noticeable line. And I'm going to bring it back at the end of the episode as well. So that's how it starts. And really, it's just like a cycle of showing Archie getting ready for his day. It's Monday, according to the episode. And he's going to the El Royale, and he's talking to Monroe's grandma, who's watching the community center during the day. And she has a really quick conversation with him saying like, "Oh, good for you. Like, I can't believe you're doing this, and you're doing your construction, and you're doing school." And she's like, "You would be like such a good person to be in college. Like, the colleges must be like trying to snatch you up." She like hit him where
it hurt. Like, she definitely like was like a trigger point. He's like,
He's like,
oh, shit, college. I forgot about that part of my life.
True.
I just want to say how random it was that Frank's storyline is literally over. Like, can we just take a moment and like say like a prayer quickly for Frank? Because like they couldn't even just keep him in the show. They had to hire a brand new actress to play Monroe's grandma. Yeah. Just so that they could be like, the gym is running while Archie is in school.
He could have, and to your point, absolutely. He could have easily been that person for Archie. Yeah. Just been the person that sits and manages one thing, but he had to be in a fucking mercenary assassin. Okay. Cool, guys. Thank you for that RIP storyline. So dumb. So Archie gets this idea from old lady Monroe, and he goes to see Mr. Honey in the next scene, and he says, "Well, like, I just want to see if it's still possible for me to apply for colleges." And Honey's like, "Bro, you might not even graduate high school. Like, forget applications."
Like, yeah, he's like, "Bro, have you watched Riverdale season 3? Like, you basically missed the whole school year. Like, you did not come to school." He's like, "You missed a school year. You are not graduating.
Like, you're not even gonna get there."
Yeah, you're not even gonna get there. And then Archie's like, "You mean I'm not gonna walk with my friends at graduation?" And he's like, "No, dude, like, you can't graduate. Like, you missed a full fucking year of school." Like,
exactly. You know, and I was just like, and that's the thing. He says like, "But can I walk with my class?" And he's like, "No." Like, you obviously, that's not how that works.
Like, you're not graduating. And you know, this was just one of those moments again that made me feel so sad, because I do feel like we missed so much of their high school experience because season 3 was wasted. Like, season 3 was so on crack that 100. We missed a lot of this stuff. Like, hey, what can I do to get into college? Hey, how do I do my application? Like, we missed all of those scenes, and now it's sort of picking up from that part. And Archie's like, "But wait, like, I might want to go to college now."
Exactly.
But it's a little.
And it is funny. It's like fucking Monroe's grandma is the one that makes him be like, "Oh, light bulb." I'm like, come on, man. You could have written that a little bit better. But anyway, so he's not walking in this class. I don't know why we're talking about this, because like the way this episode ends, like, I don't even care if Archie doesn't go to school. Like, it doesn't matter.
And you know what's funny? You know what's funny? It doesn't get mentioned till like the end of the episode. Like, this whole conversation with Honey doesn't even have time to resolve itself until at the end, when Archie's like, "Oh, BT dubs, like, I can't walk with you guys at graduation.
I'm not going to graduate, y'all."
I was like, "Well, yeah, that happened."
Yeah, anyway, so that happens. Then it cuts to the Lodge fam residence, the Pembroke. And first of all, are we just going to ignore that Hermosa is just hanging out at home now?
Yeah, she's just like, she's
no
just
mention. Like, there was not even a sentence, like, not even one sentence being like, "Come sit down, Veronica.
She's gonna live here."
Or not even like, "Your sister's back from Miami for the week," or like for 2 weeks, or for the next 3 episodes. Like, not literally. Can you guys give us one sentence?
I know.
Is it really that hard? Like, my God.
I don't understand like how they develop these things, and like these arcs that feel so like they don't flow. Like, she's just randomly sitting there at the breakfast table. Like, are we not gonna talk about this anymore? Like, she's just in the fam now. Like, we're cool. Like, Hermione's totally cool with this. Like, everyone's good. Okay, cool.
Cool. Like, didn't make any sense. Very disappointed in how that was all wrapped together. Then, while they're having breakfast, Hiram is trying to like lift his cup of tea, and he drops it because like his hands are shaking, and Veronica goes to try to help him, and he's like, "Don't touch me!" And she's like, "Fine, I'm gonna go to school." Like she just like rages out and like dips, and right away she like it literally like
Your
goes.
notes. Oh my god.
It like follows her from like outside the Pembroke all the way
Guys,
to the
it
school,
literally,
down the
I
hallway.
died because it literally followed her outside the apartment. Like,
Yeah.
the camera turns, she's like walking from the table, walking to the living room, grabs her jacket, grabs her purse, goes to like the front door, unlocks the door. Like, it like tracked her all the way out. I'm like, why is this shot still
Then
like,
she
being held?
walks down the school hallway. She hears Archie. She closes the door. She sits on his dick.
She locks the door and then she sits on his dick.
Final destination on his pants. I was like, all right, okay. Let's go. Let's move on. So of course, like right away they start making out, and then they like I guess like bone each
He's
other
like,
in
what's
the
going?
music room.
He's like, what's happening right now? He's like, we haven't done this in so long.
Yeah. He's like, good morning to you, morning wood. And
did you miss them together?
you know what? I will say that I was really happy, and I'm sure all the Varchie shippers were like losing their minds because we got like a sex scene pretty much. I'm a little disappointed. I feel like it was definitely the writers and the editors and whatever the producers being like, you guys miss Varchie here, Varchie. Like they just like threw it all in your face.
Yeah.
And it didn't make up for the fact that we didn't see them for the first half of the season together.
Yeah.
Like we're in episode 14, guys, 13 guys.
And like this is the first
time. What did you think of the fact that they just kind of threw that in there?
You know what? I missed it. Like it was a hot sex scene for sure, but I will talk about it more when we see them in the at the second time when like she comes into like the classroom.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more then because I
Okay.
want to like dive into that part.
Sure. So after they bone each other, she's like, "It's our senior year. Can we just have like fun? I miss you." And he's like, "Yeah, for sure. Like we can hang out." So then it cuts to Mr. DuPont and Jugs at Stonewall, and right away Mr. DuPont's like, "You are out of this Quill and Skull," and Jugs like, "Is it because like Betty tried to break in and da da da?" And he's like, "Yep, that's exactly why." But also I was like, what was the point of the duel? Wasn't it like someone?
It was all a setup though. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
like this all doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because they're just kind of pinning it on DuPont and they're like, this was all a setup anyways. Because this was their plan, I think, in the end to get rid of him anyways, you know?
But why have him in there in the first place? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
So I don't know. Anyway, he didn't fall in line. I guess that's the reason why he's out of it. And he's like, also, you're losing your book deal because you haven't written anything substantial and everything is due by Friday. So they made everything like extremely hard for him to like achieve the goal of getting it to Friday.
Like this is what Riverdale does, and this is what I hate when they do. Like you're right. Like they build up this storyline for like half a season.
Yeah.
And then in the matter of literally like a 2-minute scene with DuPont, everything is basically gone. Like it's like nothing even happened. And like
Exactly.
now we're back to like square one where like Jughead needs to just leave the school. So it's like, wait, what? Like they can't legitimately make up a reason why he needs to leave. But
right.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
So he's pushing to get this book by Friday, but then Jughead assures him, "I will get it done. Don't worry." And they also have like some party that's happened. Like this is when it's mentioned that there's that party during the Ides of March as well. Anyway, whatever. He's got to figure it out. Then it cuts to Archie and Hiram, and it's at the El Royale. Hiram comes in, and he's like, "I want to come to work out here." And Archie's like, "What are you doing here, though? Like, why?" And he says, "I've gotten away from myself. I've been sitting behind suits. I don't want to show any more weakness, essentially." So he's like, "I'm going to work out here. I want to like get myself
such a cute scene
back into like tip-top shape or whatever." And so one of the things that happens is Archie says, you can make the check out, like your membership out to the Fred Andrews Community Center. I don't know why I wrote Frank. That's weird. The Fred Andrews Community Center. And then it kind of zooms in on Hiram's face. What do you think that any of that means?
No, to me, it was like Hiram was so happy. Like when Archie mentioned his dad again, like you could see that like Hiram got like emotional. And I think he was like really, really happy. I think he was like, holy crap, like this kid is still like repping his father, you know, like he's doing
Right.
everything he can in his life to like honor his dad's like legacy. Um, I took it as like the beginning of Hiram's like turnaround. I think like we're gonna really see a different side of Hiram this last part of the season, and wherever that leads him to, we don't know. But like I'm so excited for his role because he was so stripped down. He was like, I don't want to wear suits anymore. I just want to be me and like raw and real. And I was like, oh my God, this is so like cute.
Yeah. So I didn't necessarily take it that way, but I will take it one step forward and say it was almost as if Hiram had a moment where he realized what Archie's doing on behalf of his father. And because now Hiram's dealing with his mortality and the fact that he
Oh,
has
for
to
sure.
think about his legacy and the way that he's treated Veronica. Like, I think that there's that element as well. And
For
that's what
sure.
they were playing with. Because I was like, it's either that or he's being diabolical again, which is like
No,
really
not at all.
disappointing.
No.
So I feel
No,
like
no.
as soon as he said like Fred Andrews Community Center, I think like it was in his mind where he was like, true, I need to like feel like there's a legacy for myself as
Being
well.
left behind. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
feeling a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
left behind, exactly.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Jughead at school and he's reading his first chapter and it's very short and like not really a lot. And right away, DuPont's like, well, that's not even enough. Like, that's just one chapter of your stupid book. And he's like, well, there's more coming. I know that you guys are thirsty for this storyline. And that's kind of how that scene ends. Then it cuts to Cheryl and Tony at the Maple Club, and they get a phone call about a mystery donator, someone who wants to invest in the company. And so Tony goes to meet the person at the club, and it's literally Hermosa in
Yeah,
a Monica
literally.
Posh wig. Like, she is wearing a blonde
I don't
Monica Posh wig.
understand why these lodge girls think that like putting on a blonde wig is like the end all be all disguise. Like
Yeah.
that is it. Like no one's gonna recognize me once I put this
Yeah.
blonde wig on.
I just like, anyway, this storyline, we'll talk about it when it's over, but that's what happens there. Tony kind of just dances with her, and then it cuts to in the same scene because this is now at
It was a
the
cool scene,
Bon
I will have
Nuit.
to say. I really like the music
Yeah,
and like the lights, and like it was just like a really cool like vibing moment in Riverdale.
for sure. So that shows Archie and Veronica and they're dancing, and Archie says like, I can't stay out anymore. I gotta go home because I gotta wake up in the morning and do like the community center and this and this and this and this. And she's like, we were supposed to have fun tonight. Okay, boo, you suck. And then she lets him leave, and then she starts like swigging from a flask. So she's like having a drinking issue, obviously. Then it cuts to Jughead talking to his classmates again, and he's talking about like the next chapter, and he's like, this is the witness to a perfect murder. Like, that's kind of how that, like, the line of his story ends. And he's starting to tell the story, and it sounds very specific to what's happening to him at school. And DuPont still is like, okay, and he's like, don't worry, I know you guys are thirsty for the rest of it. It's coming, don't worry. Then it cuts to Archie and Hiram again talking at the gym. And he wants to talk to Hiram about some advice. He's like, I need some advice on schooling. And he's like, I'm not Veronica. I can't run like 3 businesses and do school. What should I do? And Hiram does suggest that he lets go of one of his businesses, either the construction company or the El Royale. He's like, both of those businesses will bear your dad's name regardless. Just get rid of one. So Archie's like, okay, I'm going to consider it. So then it cuts to Pop's Diner, and Archie and Tom Keller are talking, and he says to Tom that, you know, Vic, the partner of the construction company, said that he wanted to buy it. So he's like, I can sell it to Vic and then use that money to pay you to be at the community center full time to kind of manage that situation. And I made a note, but I want to ask you about this because I don't know how I feel about it anymore. Do you feel like there is a possibility that Hiram's doing this to take one
I
of the
don't think
businesses
so.
away or anything?
I think if this was season 2, yeah, for sure. But I think at this point we're so far from that storyline you know, if this is kind of like gearing up to be Hiram's final like act, you know, then like they're not gonna send him off like again like fucking shit up and like being this huge villain to this kid,
Right.
you know. I don't know. I don't
It's
think so.
just Hiram's done so many bad things. It's so hard for me to trust what they're gonna do with his character if he's gonna be like an earnest and honest person. And because I think the one thing that I will say about it is because we haven't seen the moment of Hiram actually breaking down emotionally, I'm still a little weary of where his
But you know
mind's
what?
at.
You might not get that moment, or it might come like really at the end. But I think when
Yeah.
I see him with Archie, it really, really like it like gets to me. Like he, I think, might be that sort of not like in a father way, but like in a business aspect. Like he's gonna try to help Archie with the two businesses and like give him advice. And that's all he can really help Archie with. But that might be like huge for Archie moving
For
forward
sure.
for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah, 100%. So anyway, so that's his advice that he gives him. And so Tom now is like, okay, I'll consider it. Or he's like, I'm down for that idea. So then it cuts to DuPont talking to the entire class. And he's like, alert, alert, someone plagiarized something. And it's like the greatest offense. And whoever it is, it's Jughead. Like, it's like, obviously it was Jughead. And it turns out that one of his classmates claims that he wrote the story originally, like way back when. And it's just this whole complicated situation. And obviously it has to do with the fact that Brett gave him the new laptop and the file was on his old laptop, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Jughead is like, I know exactly that it was mine. And I wrote that story originally and it was back in the summer before he even came here. Let me go get my laptop. He looks for his laptop, can't find it. It's obviously missing, which we obviously knew that was going to happen. So then he goes back to the room and he says, somebody stole my laptop. And he says, I'm going to fight this tooth and nail. And DuPont says, well, we can put you in front of a tribunal and just get ready for it because it's going to happen on Friday, the Ides of March. And so then it cuts to FP talking to Jughead, and he's basically like, we'll try to help you out. You need to like keep pushing forward. And they try to create an idea to try to figure out what to do next. So then it cuts to CHONI and VARCHIE, and they're both in the school lounge. And Principal Honey comes in, and he's like, I was doing a random check of everybody's lockers and found this flask. He pulls out Veronica's flask, and he's like, what is this? And as he's kind of yelling at Veronica, saying, like, why do you have this? She's like, go fuck yourself. She's getting really aggressive. She's like, who do you think you are?
Yeah,
I don't need to
first of
deal
all,
with this
she's
shit
like-
right now.
She's like, what kind of like Hitler like freaking like regime is it? I'm like, first of all, you have alcohol at school. Like you're literally
Yeah,
not allowed
you
to do
can't
that.
do
Like
that.
you're literally like breaking the law. Like you can't. Like he's right.
Yeah,
like you
it's
broke
true.
the biggest rule in high school. Like come on. She's like,
Um,
how dare you take away my flask?
He's like, give it back to me. I need a swig. So Archie actually stands up and he takes the fall instead because this is when Honey starts to say like, oh, I wonder what will happen if Bernard finds out about this is her school. And that Archie's like, I'll take the blame. And he gets detention. And then that's kind of how the scene ends. And Veronica's just like, thank you for doing that, basically. Then it cuts to Stonewall, and most random fucking scene ever. Betty decides to hook Jughead up to a lie detector and have all the kids be there as well.
I still don't get why this happened.
No clue.
Can you explain it to me?
No clue whatsoever. I do have a theory that this has to do with the fact that they're building a case about
okay, like for later after.
Yeah, tripping them up on their
okay.
lies or something.
yeah.
But like, I really don't know
Yeah, you're probably
why.
right.
Specifically because all she asks is, did you write that story? And he's like, nope. And then it was true. And then even they were like, well, I don't know why you're doing this. And they say like, this isn't going to prove his innocence. And Betty goes, you don't think I know that bitch? I was like, ever since
She's
they got her
getting
to
so into it.
Ever since they got her to say bitch that first time, and then Twitter lost their mind because she said bitch.
100%. And I
Now-
lost it again.
Yeah, now Lily says bitch like every other episode, and we like lose our shit. And she threatens them. She says, just wait and watch yourselves because none of you will be left standing by the end of all of this. And I was like, if you guys don't have a plan, please do not. Please, for the love of God,
down.
do not fucking make them this pissed because they were going to come for you.
Don't fuck this up.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest worry. If this whole storyline is true, they really were fucking idiots coming up with being this emotional and not being strategic. Like, you're telling me that these rich dummies were able to figure out to just play it cool and watch them crumble versus be emotional and like fucking get in people. Like, I just hope that they have a bigger plan.
What I want to know in the end also is like, why Jughead? Like, is it just because Jughead writes well and so they wanted to steal his ideas?
Right.
Like, is that the only reason why they're doing this to Jughead? Or like, do they do it to like a lot of people who come through the school?
That's a good question. I feel like it does have to do with his writing chops, and there might be maybe a revenge plot that has to do with the fact that his grandpa went there too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, there's still a lot to uncover, obviously, in the season. But moving on, Veronica and Archie are at school, and she thanks him for protecting her. Like, she goes into this
she was like
random classroom,
horrified. She's like fucking like running into the science room, and she like basically like mouths his face.
Yeah,
and he's like, "What the f?" Well, he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "The teacher's gonna like come back any second, whatever." And she's like, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
She's like, "What the hell, man?
Sex in weeks."
Yeah.
Okay?
She's like, "If you don't want to have sex in a public space, then fine. I'm gonna go."
Living.
She's gonna leave. Yeah.
So again, this is where I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere with Varchie. Like, let's change this up. Like, I'm so bored of the same ships and nothing really happening and nothing's shaken, you know? And so this moment, I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. I want to see tension. You know, he's telling her to calm the fuck down and she doesn't want to calm the fuck down. And what is this going to mean?
Right.
Like, for their relationship, it doesn't mean anything because like they make up by the end of it, so like whatever.
Exactly.
But it was still like fun to watch. Weren't you like kind of like, ooh, like I'm down for something new, you know?
I mean, I never thought that them not wanting to have sex in public spaces was going to be the thing that breaks them up. But I do, I did like to see how Veronica's literally unfurling on herself,
for sure.
Which was really interesting because she never really is like that, at least not since first season. So it was interesting to see that was a part of the element, but I don't know yet. To your point, I do like the idea of a shakeup, and it sounds like a lot of the Riverdale verse is interested in it as well. I just don't know what's gonna be the thing that really separates them.
Yeah.
Outside of the fact that, like I said, like last episode, if she goes to New York, it's over. Like, they're not doing long distance. That's not happening. So whatever. She leaves. And she's like, I'm going to go meet up with Tony and Cheryl. So back at the club, Tony is now dancing with Hermosa. And Cheryl shows up. And it's that song by Dua Lipa. And they're all dancing.
This moment?
Oh, I loved it. It was cute. Especially the way that it ends. Because I was like, if these fucking bitches do not realize that this is Veronica's sister, I'm going to lose my shit. Because in the beginning, when I was writing the scene, like when writing the notes for the scene, I was like, Veronica is one of the partners, so why isn't she having these conversations? Like, either way, Tony and Cheryl would not be able to make any decisions about the Maple Club or the business without her. So she would obviously have seen Hermosa eventually, which kind of blows my mind why Hermosa thought that it was even a good idea to try to infiltrate that way. Like, she's a grown-ass woman, and she came up with this weak-ass plan.
Yeah, she did not plan that right.
Did not realize.
No.
So anyway, they're kind of dancing with her, and then Cheryl says, like, let's go somewhere special. So in this moment, there's like a really quick scene where it's almost as if Veronica was like in another area, and she's like it looks like she's at a restaurant, like paying a bill or something. And then she's like, okay. And then it cuts to the next scene, and it's the hotel again. And whatever her name is, Hermosa goes in to the room, And Veronica from the darkness is like, hermosa. And then she's like, Veronica. Like, so extra.
It was so funny.
So extra. So telenovela. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, we don't need this right now. And she literally snatches her wig. Like, she's like, wig snatch. She like fucking rips it off her
Yeah,
head.
she's like, I guess I'm gonna take it off because she's like, my cover's blown.
So
She's like, this is an emboscada, okay, my sister? And I'm like, okay, guys, you're going a little too far with this telenovela.
I'm like, do I need to hold my phone to the fucking TV so I can be like, Google, could you please translate what the fuck is happening right now? The one thing that she yells at her, Veronica's like, I can't believe you're thinking of even doing this. You know that dad is sick. And she says, yeah, I know. He told me that you didn't know that he was sick. And then Veronica's like, he told you and not me.
Yeah,
he trusted
she
you.
had a full out meltdown moment.
me.
She was like, wait, like, you know, and I didn't. And that means that he told you before me.
Yeah, she
has
lost
a
it.
full meltdown. But like, I'm also like, girl, I know that stings, but like, you literally tried to kill your dad like 2 seasons ago. So like, maybe he just didn't trust you.
Because Hermosa even says, like, could you blame him why he didn't even decide to tell you?
Yeah.
And I think more than anything else, this is just setting us up for one of the most emotional Veronica and Hiram scenes we are yet to see.
Yeah.
The way that this whole story kind of played out, the fact that they haven't discussed it yet, the fact that they've had such a strong relationship, it's going to be a huge cry fest when Hiram and Veronica finally get to have that conversation. So just wait for it, because I'm positive that's what they're setting this up for.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
So then it cuts to Betty and Jughead at school. And now they're deciding to snoop after hours and go into everybody's rooms and check all the hiding places. But everything is missing. Like, all the stuff at the Quill and Skull headquarters is gone. Like, all the tapes are gone. And then they get into DuPont's office and they break open one of the drawers. And in the drawer, there's a Baxter Brothers transcript. And it's the story that Jughead wrote. And it says, like, requested for print, or like finalized version of the script, The Boy in the River. And Jughead loses his mind. He's like, this is the script that DuPont rejected because they said it was too boring. He's like, this is my book. So Betty says, what do you want to do about this? And of course, they go and confront DuPont. And again, why do they think that this is the right way to go about it? I don't really know, like, why they're being so aggressive. But he goes and like confronts DuPont right away. And DuPont says, well, someone else rewrote your shit because your stuff was garbage. Your whole class actually collabed on it. But I'm like, at that point in time, we not just say that like he was literally being used for his words? Like, and the fact that the Quill and Skull was all a sham. Like, at this point in time, Jughead should be ready to slit all of their throats in their sleep. Like, these guys pretended to be his friend, even if it was for like a week, but this entire time they were writing a book behind his back. Like, that's pretty tight. And I don't know. I just feel like if this is the way, anyway, we'll get to it. I just feel like,
you know what? It's really hard to grasp at everything because I feel like the writers are not giving us the full picture.
Yes.
Or not even like more than half the picture. So I feel like anything I say, you know, we don't know what's really going on because I feel like they're all trying to trick us as the audience. So
because it may or may not be resolved by the end of the season. You know what I mean? Like, I don't trust whether or not the writers have thought about literally everything, and how they're going to explain this is a huge question mark to me. Yeah. So anyway, that's what happens. It obviously looks like they've been setting him up from time. They just wanted his writing, and then now they want to just get rid of him. So it cuts to Archie and Veronica at home. And Archie just goes up to hit her and is like, what's going on with you? You're losing your mind. And she starts crying and she's like, my dad is dying. All this stuff is going wrong with him. So are we now confirming with based on how she reacts? And she literally says, my dad is dying.
Yeah, which I didn't know that like it was that severe.
Right, because Hermione says, they're doing tests and they're doing like all
Yeah.
these like
And it's so
experimental
early. Like
tests.
she said, like they caught it early, so like he's obviously gonna like get sick, but he's not necessarily gonna die.
Right.
But
She's like,
maybe
my
to
dad's
her,
dying.
but
I'm like,
maybe
oh
to
my
her,
God.
like, like when you're that age and something like that happens to you, like you do feel like that's the only
The end.
way
Yeah.
this is gonna end, right? It's like he's gonna die.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think that it was a little bit of that. But it was really cute because Archie connects
Archie was amazing. Like he
her
was so
relate
freaking cute.
yeah, so he talks about the fact that, when my dad died, I never got a chance to even say goodbye to him, and even the months before he died, we never really got a chance to like properly have those moments with each other. And Veronica says, I don't think I can sit by and watch him waste away to nothing. And he says, Archie says, like try to get him fired up, try to get him excited again about life, and try to do something to make him feel energized again. So the next scene is a lodge residence, and she starts off like real strong. She's like, hello, vampire family. Thank you for crawling out of your coffins today. Like,
Yeah, why did she call them
I
vampires?
don't know.
I didn't understand that reference at
Yeah,
all.
same. So turns out that her new bottle or her new company is called the Red Raven. That's like the name of her maple
Cheryl.
rum.
It was sick, yeah.
And she shows like a whole ad campaign. She like printed out a Bristol board and everything. She brought like her stand and PowerPoint slides, whatever. And she's showing the entire family. She's like, this is our revenue stream. This is what we're going to do. This is our profit margins, like money, money, business, business. And she's basically telling Hiram that she's going to win. And
yeah, because he's like, you're just like a small company. He's like, you're not gonna beat me out,
right.
And she's like, no. She's like, Cheryl's gonna like open up more factories for like the maple, and she's like, we're gonna fucking kill you. So basically, like, get ready.
And this was like
roar!
Yeah, he literally the most random line ever. He's like, congratulations, Mija. You have successfully awoken the dragon.
It was like
prepared to be eaten. I was like,
it was like
what?
half dirty, but like awkward too. I was like, ew.
Yeah.
Like,
why couldn't he say like, you've just awoken the dragon, prepared to like be burned? Like, why be eaten? Like, dragons aren't known for eating things.
They
like
don't eat.
they're known for burning shit down.
That's true.
So whatever,
he
dips.
I can't.
He's so excited to like
prepared
leave.
to be eaten.
I'm like, what? Like, you couldn't say Dracarys, I get it, but like you could have said fire. Like
sick.
literally consider anything else. So after he leaves, Hermione starts yelling at her Veronica, and she's like, why would you do that? You know your dad is sick. He doesn't need this right now.
How could you do this to your dad?
Yeah.
No. I'm like, is Hermione's only storyline this season gonna be that Hiram is sick? Like, I thought she was mayor. Like, what? Or he's mayor now. Like,
Well,
what
yeah,
happened
she's
to
not
Hermione's
anything.
character?
She
She's
literally
like nothing anymore.
Yeah, she got sucked into nothingness. Like, that's
Yeah.
she's just there. I'm surprised that she was even at the table, girl.
Seriously,
like,
no,
fuck.
it's true. It's
At
true.
this
Like,
point.
that's all we could hope for. Is
Yeah.
that she's at the table.
And so Veronica's like, I'm gonna get Daddy better all by myself without
I'm
you
Veronica
guys.
Lodge. Only I know how my daddy's feeling, and you guys don't know. I was like, girl, your mom has been married to him since like the beginning of time. I think she knows him probably better than you do. You're like 16 years old, so calm the fuck down.
And also, like, girl, you didn't
She
even
was
know
so
about
gassed
your
up.
secret sister,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
don't know shit. Like,
You don't
about
know shit about your dad. And he embezzled all that money how many years ago? So, like,
Yeah.
you don't know your dad at all, Veronica.
So
Sit
the
down.
one thing that I wanted to ask you and the audience at this point is, why do you think they took this angle instead of having them all on the same side?
I don't
like,
know. I don't know.
Why wouldn't you
I
have
think-
Veronica team up with her sister and her mom to be like, let's make sure that dad's sick? Like,
don't
cool.
know.
I
It's a
can't
good
even say sick
question.
anymore because he's actually sick.
I don't know why.
Yeah, like, unless that's going to happen later, unless we're going to see that kind of all come together at the very end of the season where the Lodge family comes together as a unit
Yeah.
to help
I
him
think
out.
they will. I think in the end they will, but I think this is Veronica's reaction to everything. It's like, I
Right.
can do it. I got this.
I can do it
on my
myself.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then it cuts to Betty and Jughead, and they've got their like crazy homeland board on the wall, and they're just kind of making all these connections and dots. And they're concluding, but we're not 100% confirmed. They're concluding that DuPont is the one who pushed Mr. Chipping to kill himself, and he's kind of the mastermind around all of this. But
Yeah.
then at the very end of the conversation, she directs it toward Donna, and she says, but I feel like Donna, we need to figure out what's going on with her. So then it cuts to a really quick scene where Donna and Betty are talking at Pops, and Betty says, I don't think that you had an affair. Don't let yourself be a victim. Come forward if DuPont is the one that was pushing you to do this. And Donna basically just laughs in her face, is like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You and your little detective boyfriend. You guys think you can figure this out? And then she's like, we'll see about that. And then she walks away. So obviously, Betty's either a idiot, just like her boyfriend, or B, they're literally lining them up and setting them up so they're going to like lose at the end of all of this. So then it cuts to Brett and Jughead at school, and Jughead goes in on him. He's like, you piece of shit. I'm done with this situation. I'm taking you down. I'm going to destroy you. I'm gonna, like, when I'm at that tribunal, I'm going to say every single thing. I'm not going to like hold back. And Brett's like, you're not going to say a damn thing. I have a sex tape of you and your girlfriend. And Jughead goes back and he says, you think blackmail is going to stop me? And Brett says, it's not going to hurt you, but it's going to destroy Betty's career and it's going to make her feel upset or whatever. And he's like, what are you going to do about that? And Jughead kind of backs down a bit. But these are the moments where I was like, why can't he have these conversations with Betty? Like, Betty's literally his only lifeline right now, and they're working on this together. So don't make any rash decisions. And anyway, we'll get to the end because I really feel like there's something there that we need to talk about. But let's talk about the next scene where Archie is about to sign the contract to sell the company. The guy Vic is there and Tom Keller's there, and he's about to sign it, and then he's like, no, I don't want to do this. Yeah, so he's like, never mind, I want to do it. Then it cuts back to Jughead at the tribunal. So now we're at Friday, I guess, the Ides of March.
Yeah.
And DuPont says, just to remind you, if you go ahead with this, you might just get expelled. Like, this is, like, we're going to be going through everything. It's going to be a very arduous situation. So you can fess up now and just get expelled and, like, end it, or you can put yourself through this whole process. And he says, like, do you want to fess up? And Jughead's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm leaving. And he looks like really upset. So as they're leaving, FP yells at him. He's like, what's wrong with you? I thought that you could have taken them down. You had so many opportunities to like use things as evidence. And Jughead says, he's like, you don't know how these people work. They're these rich assholes. And they just always want to take me down. This game has been fixed from the very beginning.
I really liked how he handled himself in that situation. I think that was really his only way out. He was not going to win that trial. He was not going to, have the last word. He's right. Like, everything up to this point has been fixed. So, they're going to do whatever they have to do to beat him out. And he knows that he's got to play a different game to beat them.
But here's my thing. I felt like this was a scene that he wanted to have. Like, it's almost as if everything, when it came to the plan, started at the beginning of the episode when FP, Betty, and Jughead are sitting around being like, we have an idea. You know what I mean? And I almost felt like this was a part of the plan. Yeah.
It could be, and it probably is, because he does know that if he goes forward with the trial, he's not going to win anyway. So he's got to do something else.
Right.
And I'm sure at this point he has a plan. I'm sure of it. Otherwise, like, this guy's an idiot.
And that's the thing. I felt like this, even them yelling in the hallways, was like it was a part of. Yeah, it was on. Yeah. It was an act to make them feel like they're losing.
They're winning. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other guys are winning.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's not the case, and that was like a weird scene to me too, because then I was like, if he is actually upset, then that means he has no plan whatsoever, and he's fucked. Like, they make it seem like he has no plan until the very end. And even at the very end, you're like, well, what was the fucking plan? So anyway, we'll get to that. Cutting to Archie and Hiram at the El Royale again. And Hiram's like, oh, look at the sign. Good for you. Because he puts up the Andrews Construction sign in the office. And Hiram's like, oh, so I guess it's done now. And Archie says, like, we actually didn't sell the construction company eventually. Like, I just wanted to keep it. And Hiram's like, cool, 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 cool. But there's, again, a shot where it's held on Hiram. It's not diabolical, but it's not like, why did we have this scene? NB, like,
Yeah.
what do you think the reason
I
is?
don't know. Maybe
Like,
it's just him. Again, it's him kind of thinking it through. Maybe that's all it is.
just again contemplating like the legacy storyline situation. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, it cuts to Jughead and Betty, and they're talking at school, and they're in their room, and Jughead's like putting all his shit away. He's putting it in the box, and Donna and Brett come inside, and they're like,
hold on. Before this happens, is this where Betty also says, yeah, it is. So she also says, I know why you kind of gave up, and I know why you just left, because she's like, they were holding the sex tape, right?
yeah,
Over our heads, and she's like, that's why you didn't go ahead with it. She's like, I don't give a shit. She's like, you should have just done it. She's like, I don't care, like, whatever, it's a sex tape. Like, so again, like, at this point it sounds like she doesn't know his plan, because if she did, she would have known that, you know, he was gonna go ahead with this. Or she could have told him, like, just do whatever you gotta do. Who cares if, like, they release a sex tape of us? Like, who the fuck cares?
yeah.
Or are they just, again, putting on a show in their dorm room? Like, that's too far, I feel like. Like, who thinks that far?
Like, unless they're assuming that maybe there's a camera still watching them in the room, so they have to pretend as if, like, they're really, these motherfuckers took a drama class to fucking act this
you're
shit
right.
out.
But that's what I mean. It's like, now they're just trying to trick us. They're just trying to trick the audience, because otherwise we're gonna start piecing things together. So yeah, I really want to know, like, how far this is gonna go back, and when this plan
if it fucking goes back, like, anyway, whatever, we'll get to that at the end. But so Brett and Donna are like, well, you should show up to this party even though you're expelled. It's our last thing. It's happening in the woods. You should come. And Jughead's like, let's go, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, Betty's like, no, and then Jughead's like, yeah, like, let's go.
Yeah. And then,
so again, even in that moment, like, if they didn't have a plan, you know, again, like, she'd be like, yeah, we're not gonna go because there's no plan. But clearly he has a plan.
Yeah. So he says to her, like, when they leave, he's like, I have a plan. Do you trust me? And they have this, like, weird kiss. It was like a very long.
It was like a goodbye kiss, for sure.
Goodbye kiss, almost.
Because they play like their song. They play like that lullaby song.
Right.
And then he's like, I love you. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, do you trust me? And she goes, yes.
Yes, but very confused. So then it cuts to Archie in his bedroom with Veronica, and it's like kind of like post-sex conversations. And this is when he decides to be like, so I failed our last year and I'm not going to graduate. So yeah. But it's really cute because he does come up with a plan, and he's like, I'm going to do summer school, and I'm going to be able to still graduate, just I'm not going to be able to walk with you guys. And Veronica's like, yes, like, good for you. Like, I'm glad that you're getting your life together. And he also said that he's going to try to apply for colleges for the spring. So he still has, like, his eyes set on, like, finishing school and stuff. Yeah. Then he gets a text, or I think Veronica gets a text from Betty inviting them to this party. So they're all going to get ready for this party. As they're all getting ready, it shows at one point in time Jughead grabbing the mask and a knife, like his little switchblade. And I got really worried because I was like, so did he tell Betty the plan, or is he just, like, making her?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
I need to know these things that are, like, in between these scenes, because I'm just like getting nervous. And so this is at the party, and Betty goes to look for Jughead. Like, she's looking for him at the party and can't find him anywhere. And then it shows VARCHIE, and they're like, let's go have sex in the woods. Like, this is fun. We're being fun. So they go and have sex in the woods. And Jughead comes in, and he's carrying his, like, bunny mask. and he puts the mask on and he's holding his knife and he has this confrontation with Brett where Brett's like, what are you doing? What do you want? Do you want to settle this now?
So yeah, Jughead's wearing his serpent jacket.
Right.
And he's wearing his serpent t-shirt. And he's wearing this bunny mask.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to remember like everything that he's wearing. So like, you know, later on we can like start piecing it together.
Right.
And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't talk. He doesn't say like, come with me. He doesn't say follow me. He doesn't say anything to Brett. And Brett's just like, oh, okay. You're going to be silent. Okay. He's like, let's go like, he's like, let's go finish this like somewhere else. And then like they walk off, right? Into the woods.
Right. And then as they're leaving, of course, right away, Betty misses him. Like she misses him very slightly and barely.
Yeah.
As they're walking into the woods. So then it cuts to Brett and Jughead, but there's like no talking. It's just like music and slow motion shots. And Brett's walking forward and Jughead's behind him and he's taking his mask off and then putting his beanie on.
And I wonder why. Like, why does he do that even?
Yeah, and that's kind of like where that kind of ends. And then it cuts to Betty and she continues to go into the woods.
She's sort of watching Donna.
Right.
And then Donna, like right away, Donna's like, ooh, and then Donna starts walking into the woods and Betty sees her and starts following Donna into the woods.
Yes. So then she confronts Donna and
she's like, hey, bitch. She's like, what you doing over here? And Donna's like, you found me. And Betty's like, look, bitch, I'm the daughter of the black motherfucking hood. You're not going to fool me. Like, I'm going to get you guys. Like, I'm going to, like, freaking uncover everything.
Right.
She's like, you're not going to, like, get us. Like, we're going to fucking, like, kill you guys, basically.
And then Donna's like, well,
Yeah.
I figured you'd say that because do you know where I went? I went to Shankshaw prison and found your friend Evelyn. And then Betty's trying to like one up her and be like, oh, you mean tangerine, bitch? I already
like, yeah,
don't need
bitch,
to do that shit no more.
That doesn't work on me anymore. That was episode 10, okay? Like, get with it.
And then Donna's like, well. She's like, I've got another magic word, and this is the one.
What word was it? Like, what the fuck's going on? And Donna's like, no, I have another word. And Betty's like, what, bitch? Like, what word?
She's like, Clementine.
No.
She's like,
Blood
Clementine
orange.
Baxter. Blood oranges. Yeah. So you don't hear the word, but she's like, this is the word that's going to make you fugue. Do you want to hear it? And I was like, did you literally say that you're going to use words to make her fugue? Like, what?
Like, really?
Fuck?
Is happening.
I can't. So
you don't see that ending. It just
don't see that
ending again.
And then it shows kind of Archie and Veronica like kind of in the woods as well because they were having sex and they see Betty in the clearing and they rush after her and then
they walk out. They walk back out to like the party.
Oh yeah. You're right.
And Archie's like, whoop, zipping up my pants.
Right.
And then the crew's there. Like only like the Asian girl and the black guy were there.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, like Archie's like, hey, have you seen like Betty and Jughead? And they're like, yeah. I think they're just like right over there in the darkness in the clearing behind that one big tree.
Yeah.
And Archie's like, even Archie and Veronica were like, okay, we'll go get our friends, I guess. And then they start walking into the clearing, and then you look back, and it's Donna and Brett back at their like squad group, and I was like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, so like basically Donna and Brett got out scot-free. This whole situation happens with Jughead.
So they're fine, yeah.
So
and then Archie and Veronica like kind of come around that clearing, and then they do see Betty standing basically over Jughead's body.
Right.
And Veronica like freaks out. She's like, oh my god, like what's happening? Like what the hell just happened? And Betty's like, I don't know, like whatever. Were her hands bloody? I couldn't even tell.
Her hands were bloody.
Dark.
Yeah, so it basically plays a scene that we've already seen where it shows Archie checking his pulse, seeing that he's dead, and he says like, "What did you do, Betty?" And Betty's like, like quiet.
And he's like, there's no pulse.
Yeah. And that's how the episode ends with a little voiceover, which we don't usually get from Jughead saying, "It started like any other week. who would have guessed it would have ended like this? And
Yeah.
That's the end of the episode, y'all. I
Lots
don't
of
know.
questions, y'all. Lots of questions.
So many questions, so many theories. Before we get into ours, I just wanted to read some of the comments and then we'll get into our theories, MB, okay?
Yeah.
So from @Sweetwater_T, they said Archie killed Jughead and Betty and took the fall. It's all an elaborate plan for those two crazy kids to run on and get married before reenacting Thelma and Louise. But in all seriousness, Archie killed Jughead and Betty is covering for him. I'm like, okay.
Oh, damn, that's like pretty intense.
That's a deep
like
question.
That's like shots fired. Like you cannot take that back. Like
yeah. at Tina Hoven says, all I have to say is thank you, Riverdale, for giving us an episode where Archie did not get beat up by some psychotic adult. Agreed.
Yeah. Yep.
And at Grey Girl 121 says, all seriousness though, it wasn't that crazy of an episode in Riverdale standards. It was still weird. This was a writer's first ever episode, so congrats to them for doing a pretty good job with the script. Okay.
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 Cool.
Thanks, guys. But Kayla, let's get into our theories and talk about that real quick.
Let's talk about that last sequence. So here's okay. I'll tell you my theory, I guess. I don't even know if it's a freaking theory. I'm just going off of this. I really think that at some point, Jughead, Brett, Donna, I think they all ended up sort of working together, maybe.
Right.
And they were like, we got to take DuPont down. Like, DuPont is the real mastermind. I think DuPont is the one that's behind everything. He's the one that killed that guy. And so I think maybe Brett and Donna and stuff too were like, yeah, he's fucked us over too in the past, but like we can't get out of the situation. And so maybe this is their plan, all of them, to sort of take down the patriarchy, aka DuPont. That's right. I don't know. And I don't know if that's satisfying to me. I don't know if I'm going to like that either, but I don't know. That's kind of what I'm going with.
I feel like it makes the most sense, but there's still so many things that can pop holes into that theory.
Yeah.
One being, we do, like, if you guys don't remember the flash forward scenes, one of the scenes we see is Betty putting all of Jughead's shit into a box and Brett going up to her and saying, you don't need to pretend to cry anymore. Like no one's here to watch you. And that makes me feel like it's confirmed. That
they're not on the same side.
That they're not on the same side.
That's true. Yeah.
And also Jughead is dead still, technically, right? So those things are the situation. Yeah. I still think that I want to hold on to the idea that they're playing like the extra long game and that they're playing this out and pretending as if Jughead is dead. There's just a few holes with that situation because then we're assuming that Donna put Betty into the fugue state and made her kill Jughead, right? But if that's the situation, then that means that that wasn't a part of Betty and Jughead's plan and that was just how everything ended up. And I'd be like, okay, so then that means that Jughead is actually dead and we're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or the other side of it is maybe they knew that that's the thing. Like, how far back are we going to go?
How would they know that Donna would know that Betty had a trigger word?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the part that's throwing me off. Like, that's
does Betty know the trigger word? Like, does she know what the trigger word is? And there's just so many questions with that specific scenario where was she wearing earplugs? Like, so she wouldn't be able to hear the word? Like, I'm not really sure what that was all about with her. So that's my only.
Do you think he could be dead for real?
Yes, I do. I do think that he can be dead for real. I just don't think that's a good move for them to do it that way because it just doesn't feel like a good way to send off a character. Like, you're right. It doesn't feel right. And a part of me is like, this guy at the very end where he has the voiceover at the very end also kind of brings up a big question because I'm like, this isn't Desperate Housewives. Like, he's not going to be like the ominous voice telling this story. He's
writing this story, obviously, from some point. Yeah. So he's still alive. You're right. I don't think they'd kill him off like this. I think, honestly, guys, like, if they did kill him off, like I'd be shocked as
Yeah.
hell, because like
Super shocked.
nobody is expecting him to be dead right now, and they can turn this shit around like crazy.
Yeah.
But having said that, I don't think they would ever do that to Betty, where like she would be the one to kill her boyfriend. And
Right.
I don't think they would send off Jughead like this. I don't think that would be, a way to do it, unless his death sort of does cause this whole like upheaval of like everyone gets exposed and the Quill and Skull thing gets exposed. Like maybe that's what happens with his death. But like, again, that doesn't feel right. Like I just don't feel like they're gonna kill him off.
Like, do I think that Betty might not know all the information because he wants to protect her from like being a target anymore? Yes. Like,
but
do
that
I
to
think
me is stupid. Like that to me is so dumb. They should have got into this together, because they did get into it together. He called her and was like, I need my Nancy Drew, basically. So then tell her everything. Like make sure she knows what the plan is. Like there's no time to be secretive right now. Like just be open and just be like, this is what we're gonna do. Let's get them. Let's take them down. Done.
But it's almost like what I was saying from last episode. It's like maybe it's a thing where he can't say much to her, and he's like, I'm just going to be gone for like an X amount of time until this all settles down and you're able to take down the secret society from the inside out. Then I'll be able to like come back to life or whatever.
Yeah, because he does say like, trust me, trust me, trust me.
Yes.
In that last scene when they're together. So I feel like that's his way of saying like, whatever happens from this point on, just trust me.
Right.
So yeah.
I just think that it's all the editors, it's all the writers like trying to fuck us up.
Do you think he told Donna and Brett that she has a trigger word?
Ooh, maybe. But I almost wish that would have been a part of his like secret. You know, that big secret that they had to tell?
Maybe it was, but they didn't show that, because if they showed it, then like we would start piecing things together.
I don't fucking know, man. Honestly. And here's the thing. There's too many things that are happening that I'm thinking about now that are still completely unanswered. And may not even be connected to this. Like these VHS tapes that were introduced in the beginning of the season. What the fuck were those? And is that a scenario that we should be keeping our eyes on?
I feel like those tapes are gonna help them figure out this case.
But how?
I don't know how. I don't know how.
Like,
maybe because someone's spying on everyone. Like they'll find some sort of information, or like they'll catch someone on camera. Like I don't know. Maybe that's how it's gonna connect. Because you're right. Like I was thinking about that too. I was like, how is that gonna connect to what's happening now?
Right. Or like, is Charles knowing that? Like, did they have a conversation with Chick and Charles to be like, okay, I know you guys are best friends, and like maybe you can talk to Evelyn and make sure that like. There's so much that they could connect that they haven't connected. And I'm like, is it bad writing? Is it bad? Like,
I think it's bad writing. I think they didn't know where they probably were going to go with this all.
Yeah.
And how it was all going to make sense. Because I feel like if they really crafted this story from the beginning, like with a good ending, like they would have given us more bits along the way.
Yeah.
Where we would have been able to... I don't know, just be in a better position. I feel like we're missing a lot of scenes still that I think I would have wanted to have seen.
Right.
It almost feels like it's still unfinished, but like we're at the point where like we know he's dead, so it's like too late almost.
Yeah.
I do feel like it was because of sloppy writing.
Listen, the one thing that I will say, next episode is called How to Get Away with Murder. That's like the name of the episode. And if you guys are How to Get Away with Murder fans, you know that this flash forward situation was taken basically from that show. Like that whole idea of flash forwarding to the murder and kind of slowly piecing it all together. The one and only thing that's hard about this is they don't often do that to like a main character without giving the answer right away and being like, yes, they're actually dead. Like, in the show so far, there hasn't been someone that has died at the end of every season who like is like, surprise, I'm not really dead. You know what I mean? So maybe they're trying to do that with Jughead, where it's like he's not really dead, but there's still like a whole plan around it, or I don't know. Also, the other side of me is also...
Are they titling the episode not after a movie? Like, that's not a movie. It's a
I
TV
guess.
show.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess they're just like, shout out to How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, like, thanks for copying. Like, we copied your season. Bye.
Returning April 2nd. Yeah, it's yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I guess they're not following that anymore, but there must be a reason why they're specifically calling out that show for next episode. Maybe we're gonna get all the answers. Maybe we're gonna get the other half of it next episode. That would be really nice, so we don't have to carry this and drag this for the rest of the season. Because I really, guys, I don't know how you guys feel about this mystery, but like I'm truly over it. Like, how do you feel about this whole thing?
I mean, I'm not over it just yet. I think this was, to be honest, like, I think this was the best storyline they could have, like, written for this season. Like, I think it's still the perfect kind of murder mystery, still within their world. It's not like a Black Hood thing. It's not like a Gargoyle King. Like, it doesn't feel like that crazy. So I do, like, I like how this all started and, like, where it's going. But, like, now I just kind of want to see how it all comes together, and like, is it gonna be sick, you know? Because I still feel like it can be a sick storyline. It's just like I want it to be good, and I kind of just want to get there and like see how it's all gonna connect.
That's what I mean. I just want it to be over. I just want to know the answer right now, because I don't know if what they're gonna give us is gonna be worth it, to be honest. I really just don't think. Number one, we already know for a fact the reason why Jughead wasn't even in that burning shirt scene was because fucking Cole Sprouse didn't even want to be on set because it was too cold. Like, if you're telling me that an entire season came from a actor deciding that he didn't want to be a part of a scene, and they're like, light bulb, I got a whole idea for season 3 or season 4. I'm like, that is already such a weak starting point for something that could have been really, really strong and compelling. And you're right. I think that if they wrote this properly, we would have gotten the clues that we wanted that would have made this still extremely compelling television. Like, I will say, when you look at How to Get Away with Murder, they've perfected their formula in terms of what they give you, what they don't give you. They give you this like grittiness and like, you know, the mystery around it. So you leave every episode being like, whoa, this season, even up until the point where we see Jughead's dead body at the coroner's office, the entire time, I don't know if everybody else freaked out. Like, I didn't freak out. I was like, but is he dead? Like, that can't be real. Like,
yeah, and I think with
I just wasn't.
And I think with How to Get Away too, they play this like balance of like, you don't really know who's good and who's bad. And I think when you have that confusion, you can play with so many different clues and so many different like storylines, because you're like, wait, where is this gonna lead? But like, we already know that like Betty and Jughead are good, and that Brett and Donna are bad, right? So it's like, there's only so much that you can like create in that we're gonna trust, right? Because we're gonna be like, whatever they do is shady, and then whatever, you know, Bughead does is like good. Whatever, you know.
And it's like, and I don't know. I just don't know how far they're going to take this. At the end of the day, these are high school students. They're not going to come with like the most genius, foolproof plan. And I don't know. Part of me feels like they're faking it to, you know, like Archie knew, like everybody was in on it. Like, that's my only thing that I can think of. Like, everybody was in on this. And but at the same time, a part of me is like, are we still wondering whether or not this is a part of his book or his story or his first, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the way this season ends is like Jughead's literal funeral, and like he's actually dead, and they're reading his book as if it was the Baxter Boys book. Like, so some of the parts are embellished and some of the parts were
that'd be cool
real, and that's why we got these flash forwards that were real and also felt very fictionalized. But then that means that as the audience, we have to come to terms with the fact that Jughead actually is dead. And
which
if
I
they
think
don't,
I'd be okay with still, because the show is moving forward. It's gonna be college next year, and it might survive without him. So
it would only be good if they did it right. Like, it would only make sense if they actually gave him a compelling farewell. Otherwise, I'm going to be like, what a cheap, shitty way for a character to get killed off.
The thing I would honestly really hate is at the end of all of this, if like Archie, Veronica, they all knew, and it was just like, oh, we tricked you guys. Like, you never saw those scenes where they talked about it and planned it because we didn't record it. You can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like you can't just be like, we didn't show those scenes, so but they did happen. You know?
Basically, we don't want what happened at the end of season 3 where Penelope basically has to explain the entire story to all of the fucking viewers, being like,
and she
yes,
was orchestrating all of it. Yeah.
Jason is actually Chick and I found him in jail and now he's my son. Like, it's so random shit that made no sense. And I just hope that that's not what they're going to do. But I mean, they probably are. Let's be real. Let's be real, guys. That's probably what's going to happen. We're not assuming that by season 4 they got better at writing. Like, let's be real. But I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this particular, all the theories that we just mentioned. Please, please, please comment below. The one thing that I will say before we get into our recap roundups, because we haven't done those yet, the one thing I will say is this show is not coming back for another week. So we have next week off, and then it's coming back on the 26th. So we have lots of time to ponder the theories. Make sure you guys fill our comment section. If you're listening and watching this on YouTube, fill our comment section with all of your theories. Are we right? Do you think that we're on the right track? I want to hear your best ones, and we will talk about them if we don't find out what happens by next episode.
Yeah.
But let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment, I think I'm going to give it to VARCHIE and all their sex. VARCHIE sex because we missed it. I think we haven't seen them even together. Forget like having sex, but like we hadn't seen a VARCHIE scene in like weeks. So it was hot and spicy and best moment.
Sitting on that dick. My best moment is going to go to the club scenes. I thought that they were really well done.
Cute. Yeah.
And you know, I think that this show visually is obviously very appealing, but inserting this new like blue lights and like I just love the colors of these scenes and the slow motion that they're using now more often.
You know, it's
just
funny
fun
that
to
you
watch.
say that because my best line is Veronica referring to Euphoria, and I almost feel like the whole like production crew was like, we gotta get on Euphoria's level with the visuals. Because you're right, like the way they did the club scenes and like the slow-mos, I'm like, this feels like I'm watching Euphoria. Like,
100.
It is that show.
100%.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
WTF moment, I think it's gonna go to the ending. You know, I know we saw that scene with Betty beforehand, but to see it all in the full sequence and like how it all happens, I'm still shocked. I'm shocked that like Donna knew Betty's freaking trigger words. Like, you know,
my WTF moment is gonna go to that lie detector test scene because I still don't know what the fuck. Like, I literally was like, what the fuck is her idea?
I think you nailed it. I think it's probably gonna come into play like later on afterwards.
I really hope that they have this all laid out. As writers, you guys better be like masterful at how you explain this because none of this is gonna make sense, and I'm very afraid.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
MVP, I'm gonna give to Archie because I think he was so effing cute.
Yeah.
I think he's been such a hard worker. I think he was such a good like boyfriend to Veronica. He was so supportive. He was like, girl, you are tripping out. Like, what is happening to you? Like, talk to me. His whole advice like to her, how he was like, I didn't get a chance to say bye to my dad, but you do. Like, you should, like, you know. I was like, oh my god, like, he's so mature. He sounds so mature. And such a good boyfriend. He was so cute.
He's actually also my MVP of the episode. Like you were saying, basically echoing everything you said. He held it down for his girl. He even went as far as figuring school out for himself. Like, he's finally, I think after that conversation that he had with FP last episode, this episode showed me that, you know, there's hope for Archie to be a normal, healthy, happy character.
Yeah, for sure. He deserves it.
Yeah, 100%.
LVP.
Who's your LVP?
My LVP is gonna go to Veronica, and I think mostly because her reaction to her dad. I think like her even like, I get that Archie like told her like trigger your dad, but like the fact that she went and like triggered her dad, I was like, maybe this is not the best thing to do when your dad's like, sick. Like, this is not good. And just her whole like reaction to her mom and the sister, and I'm like, you're acting like too much right now.
Yeah.
And,
She was very extra.
It was too much, very extra. So yeah, LVP.
I mean, at the same time, that is kind of like Veronica's impetus. Like, that's who she is.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Mine is going to go to Jughead with like a little asterisk because he's the worst communicator if none of this works out. You know what I mean? He can't look at his girlfriend and say, just trust me, and then just hope for the best. You know what I mean?
The thing.
But that's whether or not this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If the lie detector test was a plan for later on,
right?
Like we're thinking it is, that means that Betty was in on some sort of plan.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
She is just not, she just doesn't know the full plan. So it's like he didn't tell her everything.
Like I said, I think what I want to see, if they're going to really wrap this all out, is it's going to be that scene that we saw in the beginning of the episode where it's FP, Jughead, and her talking about it and being like, I don't know what to do. They want to kick me out of the school. And they're like, we got a plan. From that point on, they lay the whole plan out and say like, make sure that you're worried and act it out as if you're in school and like pretend that, you know, like I just want a conversation to happen to be like, just act like everything's normal, react to everything normally, so we can believe that they're like fucking up on purpose. You know what I mean?
it would be really cool, and I would respect them so much if they did this, if they spent the second half of the season filling in all those scenes that we didn't see. I'd be like, yo, that's sick. Like, you guys went back, or like when you guys created the season, you made those holes and then you showed them later on. Like, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
But also take in the fact that we're at episode 14. They still somehow have a musical episode this season. Like, there's nothing joyful about the fact that Jughead's going to be dead. So they need to wrap this up before the end of the season to make it more enjoyable.
I don't think they will. I think they'll make us wait till the end of the season. I think they'll make us wait. They're not going to do it right away.
Sakes.
Yeah. The best line.
What's your best line?
Best line is going to go to my girl, Veronica.
All right.
At the party when she's like, oh God, it's like a Midsummer Night's Dream had a baby with Euphoria. I was like, yeah. Her lines are the best.
Mine is going to go to what Jughead says in the beginning of the episode and then what he says at the very end of the episode, because they're very similar, but they're not exactly the same. Beginning of the episode, he says, the week started like any other. Who would have guessed where I'd be by the end? Then the end of the episode, it sounds similar, but it's a different line. And it says, it started out like any other week. Who would have guessed by Friday night? And then it cuts to Archie saying, he's dead. And then that's how the whole episode ends. So they're both similar lines, but they're both different. And a part of me is like, is he writing his book? Like, there has to be a reason why they didn't use the exact same lines from the beginning and the end of the script, because the writer would have known for sure to do that. Like, the writer would have been like, I'm gonna tail end this with the exact same line for the beginning because it's more impactful. But unless they think that no one's gonna rewind and watch the beginning of the episode,
it could
realize.
I feel like they think that their audience is kind of stupid. So hashtag no shade.
We're gonna read out some of your guys' recap roundups. We're gonna go to @Postmaster Radio, who says his best moment is CHONI partying at the nightclub. WTF moment is the ending scene. MVP is Archie. LVP is Veronica. Hate to say it, but she was more out of control than usual. And his best line is, when was the last time all four of us hung out together, from Veronica, which is very true. It'll probably be never if Jughead's actually dead.
Yeah.
Sardonically, she says her MVP is Jughead, Betty, Archie, and Ronnie, so the core four. LVPs, Brett, Donna, Mr. DuPont, Jonathan, and Joan. Didn't even know that was their names, but okay. WTF moment is the end. Best moment is the lie detector scene. Okay. That was my WTF moment, so I don't know why that was her best moment. Her theory is Jughead isn't dead. I said what I said. Archie can't read a pulse. So that's
I love that
reasoning.
Everyone was literally like saying that Archie is so stupid that he can't read a pulse.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I was dying.
He's like, he did. I was like, no, he don't even
They're
know.
like, we don't trust you, Archie. Like, move over. Let me do this.
Yeah. At Shoni5 on it says best moment, Shoni partying and Jughead dying. WTF moment.
LOL. She put the LOL.
She's like LOL. WTF moment, no promo,
funny.
but we did get a promo because we're recording this the next day, so we did get a promo, and watch out for that. Our MVP is Tony, LVP is Veronica, best line is Shoni saying I love yous.
I love you.
At Grey Girl 121 says her MVP was Tony, Betty, and Jughead. LVP Veronica, Hermosa, Brett, and Donna. WTF,
Lots of them.
I know a lot of them. WTF, the ending and no promo.
Damn,
again.
everyone wanted a promo.
Everyone was thirsty for that promo.
Yeah.
Her best moment is Shoni kisses and saying I love you. And best line saying you've successfully awoken the dragon. Prepare to be eaten. And it's from Hiram. And it's funny because she's like, the fuck? Like
she's like, the fuck?
The fuck. Yeah, we were also very like weirded out by that. At Dazette Micah says best moment, Archie taking the fall for Veronica. WTF moment, the ending scenes. MVP, the core four. LVP, Hermosa and Stonewall Prep Squad. Best line, when's the last time all four of us hung out together by Veronica? Y'all have this like y'all hang out together and coming up with the
they
same
want
best
the
lines.
core four together.
So cute. Thank you guys all for all of your comments and all of your roundups. Please don't ever stop giving these to us. This is what we love listening to and reading while the episode's going on. So make sure you guys are doing that. A few announcements before we finalize this episode. We have our contest going on right now for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and a pop socket. To enter, just rate and comment on our iTunes page and you'll be entered in the draw. We're extending this contest to the end of this season of Riverdale, so make sure you guys just enter. Easy, quick, done. I'd like to take this time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad, White, Nicole, and Faith, our Lit Rewinders, Tina, Ann, Sarge, Serena, Slay, Kate, and Jessica, and our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
Thanks, guys. And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And also make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks for listening, and see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye.